So we're here with Hank McGregor, three-time winner of the Molokai to Oahu surf ski race. Hank, we finally look like we're getting a good one. What's your thoughts on the conditions that look like they're playing out for this weekend?
Well, Dean, I've been here. This is my 8th year, and it's the first time I've ever seen wind. So I'm really excited. And the Channel of the Bones, the crossing, is one of the hardest races that I've ever done. And for some reason, the island of Oahu never gets any closer to Molokai, and it just seems like it's going away from you. So hopefully with the wind behind us, it's going to make it that much more pleasurable. And it's a fantastic and iconic race, and it's great to be part of it.
So you've won multiple world flatwater marathon kayak championships. How do you compare doing an ocean race to a marathon kayak race? What's the big difference?
Oh, there's a huge difference. It's completely different. To be honest, the flatwater racing, you make the race what it is. In surf ski racing, you race against the ocean and its elements, and then at the same time, somewhere along the line, you race the competitors with it. But to be honest, I think the Channel of the Bones, the race is against the channel, and the competitors, we all just try and hang on. So it's a completely unique race, and it's something totally different to what any other surf ski in the race in the world is.
Yeah, and your fondest memory from this race? Would you have a particular year that you won it, or is there a fond memory from the race over the years that you really think about constantly?
Oh, I think there's a few. Obviously, the wins definitely make it the memorable, but I think it's racing against the people. And that one year, I think it was dead flat. I mean, it was like a mirror out there, and racing against an iconic person like Clint Robinson, who was like my role model as a youngster, and always wanted to race against him. And it was something unique, and I managed to pull it off and cross the line before he did. And I think that's one of my fondest memories. But I was totally spent at the end, and I think that race, no matter, even if you cross the line first, you're just as tired as the guy that crosses the line last. So I think just to finish this race, everybody's a winner.
And so we made these big announcements tonight about the cash injection that Shaw and Partner are putting into the series this year in Australia. What's your thoughts on that? And do you think we're going to see you down in Oz this summer?
Look, I hope so, and all I can say is congratulations to Shaw and Partners, Earl and Alan and the whole team. I think it's fantastic what they're doing for the sport, and you bring it to the limelight, and putting money behind it is just fantastic, and the sport's only going to grow, and I think it's one of the most fantastic sports to be involved with, and I'm really happy that somebody's put their hand up, and I'm hopefully I'll be there in Australia to come and compete against some of the best paddlers in the world.
And one last thing, on a personal note, you've got one child now. Are we expecting any more?
Is this going live? There might be one on the way. Well, there is one on the way, but we don't know if it's a boy or girl. We have to just check the dates, because I might be the same time as one of the races in Oz, so I might only make one, but I'm definitely going to try and be there.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome.
Thanks.
I'm here with Pat Dolan, local Hawaiian boy. There hasn't been a Hawaiian win the race since its inception, way back, 43 years ago. So, Pat, what do you think your chances are of winning this weekend?
I think my chances are very small, but I go out there and just see what happens. It looks like we have good conditions, so it should be fun no matter what. But like you said, we haven't had a Hawaii winner, but also we haven't had many Hawaii participants. So first, thank you to the South Africans, but mostly the Australians, for coming over and supporting this race. Because without the Australians and out-of-town guests, this race would not happen. I know you and Oscar have been huge forces in promoting this race and keeping it alive, and I can only hope that more Hawaii young paddlers will convert from the outrigger to the surf ski and fall in love with it as I have, so that hopefully someday it is a Hawaii contingent that can really have a good shot.
Yeah. So there's been the likes of Nalu Kukea, Marshall Rosa, those sorts of guys who have all placed second in this event. My belief is that you are a definite top fiver this weekend. Who else would you say are the top guys that you'll be racing this weekend?
I think, of course, Hank, Cory, Jasper, you have the young Australian too that I haven't met. What's his, Hayden, is it, or?
Oh, okay. Yep. And then I guess there's Austin Kieffer
yeah,
as well. He's paddling very
Austin,
well. Yep.
Also from the U.S. I think he's probably the strongest U.S. paddler that we've had racing in this race as well for quite time. But I think, hopefully I'm not leaving any of the top tiger. You can't leave out you, Oscar, and Clint, of course, but I think there will be a solid pack of 10 for sure.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best fields I've seen for a long time. It's going to be a battle for anyone to get in the top 10 even, probably. What's your take on the forecast for this weekend?
It's probably the best forecast I've seen for a Molokai crossing in a long time. We have a really good tide as well, so I think it'll be quick from the start all the way to the finish. And I think it will bring life back to the race, just having, it's always an experience for everyone traveling over, but I think you get some good trade winds in there. It really leaves a mark for everyone.
Yeah. And I noticed you got here a little bit later tonight, so you didn't hear the announcements about the big money that's on offer in Australia this year for our Australian Ocean Racing Series. Is there any chance we can see you down there for a bit of the summer?
I hope so. So that will be our winner, of course. So yeah, I'm hoping to. That's always been a goal of mine to get down there and race in the bigger Australian races, and hopefully it's this year that I can get down there and do it.
Well, Pat, you're a modest man, mate. I think you're going to go very well this weekend, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Cheers.
So I'm here with Clint Robinson. Clint, for those that don't know, Clint's won 13 Australian surf ski titles. He's won an Olympic gold medal, and he's won this race 3 times. Clint, how's this race looking for the weekend?
Well, fortunately, we've spoken about it for quite a few years. It looks like we're going to have some wind. So there's going to be some bumps, and we know Chops loves bumps. So you might even be out there, old fella.
So I remember Clint and I came here together the very first year that we both did it. And I remember Clint as a very young fella, a 16-year-old fella, and I could see the fire in his eyes, and I knew one day he was going to win this. It took you a little while to win it, and that's mainly because you were a sprinter at the time, and that transition from sprint to distance racing. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, it is difficult because you just don't know how to pace 4 hours when you've got to go flat out for 3 minutes 20. So the reality of finding myself as I matured through the sport took me a while, but I watched old blokes like yourself and Oscar, and so relaxed at the start and building your way through the race, and everyone has their own personality when they feel like they need to go. As I said, you learn off your peers, and I learned after a while and eventually got there, which was good.
Fantastic. So you've heard about all the stuff going on tonight. Are we going to see you racing in Australia this summer over these fantastic 20 beaches, the Doctor, big money on offer, the Dash for Cashes, the whole Australian Ocean Racing Series, this whole Shore and Partner sponsorship has really lifted the game, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Look, I remember in the early days when I helped program Earl to do his first Molokai with Luke, and I could tell his enthusiasm was great for the sport. He's now come on board and not just put his enthusiasm, but put his money where his mouth was, and delivered something for the paddlers that we haven't seen now for a few years in the sport, which has been really good. You've been running a great series, but now this has added some real venom to the whole thing.
Yep.
Will I race in it? I'll always paddle because I love to paddle, Do I train like I should to win a race like this now? No, because my kids are my priority and doing, business and things like that, but I'll certainly be around like you, mate. We'll enjoy some ocean runners, I'm sure.
And one last question, mate. Who's your top 5 this weekend?
The reality is really difficult to answer that because the last 6 or 8 years have been flat water grinds.
Yep.
And the guys that are good grinders aren't always the best surfers. A sleepy dark horse, I don't know the work he's been doing, but don't count Jasper Maki out. He's a great surfer. When we had our last true great downwind race where we were all at, Cory was right there, Jasper, myself, Sean Rice, were all within 1 minute with 3K to go. So I think this race this weekend, if the conditions prevail, unfortunately for you, I think the record is going to be broken because you used to held that for so damn long. And I think the field those front 4 or 5 guys are probably going to be within 2 minutes of each other. And I would say Hank's definitely going to be there. Of course, Cory's going to be there. Jasper, I think, will definitely be there. And then the filler of who else is going to be in that mix, I don't know. Oscar might have a great paddle if he runs runners perfectly, if he's got the body for it still. But I think it's going to be hard to pick the back end of that top 5.
Yeah, for sure. Well, mate, thanks. Good luck on the weekend.
Pleasure, Dino. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate. Okay, I'm here with Oscar Chalupsky, 12-time winner of this race. Oscar, conditions looking pretty good this weekend. What's your thoughts?
No, they're fantastic. I mean, we've never had... remember the 2012 where you and I gassed it out and Clint sneaked in. That was like 5 to 10 or 15 knots. This is looking like 15 to 20, so it's going to be really good. And the tide is absolutely fantastic. High tide's at 2:15 in Hanama Bay, so it should be really fast conditions. And I think it's going to be... Hopefully we get the record, because, the OC1s have sort of caught us up because they've had good conditions, so maybe we'll show them the surfs he can do, and maybe sub 3 hours. I don't think it can be possible, but you never know.
I think it's highly likely. The record now has been held for a quarter of a century almost. So let's hope that can get broken. It'll be a sad day for me. But who's your top 5 this weekend?
I'd say, at the end of the day, Cory's been showing his class downwind stuff. But again, McKenzie Heiner's not bad. And Hank's really good at downwind. Jasper's not bad at downwind, but I think he rates a bit high for going hard for 3 hours. So top 5, I'd still say it's going to be Cory, Hank, and then Austin Kieffer's a very dark horse, and Patrick Dolan has been paddling well. I've been paddling with him a few times. I give him a few tips, and he's really good. He's a local boy. He knows everything, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there. But again, as you know, 3 hours of concentration is a lot harder than these 1.5 hour races, these 1 hour 20 races, and you make one mistake and you can make it up here. The mistakes compound themselves towards the end. As you know, most of the time I've sort of come from behind. Yeah.
So tell us about the difference in living in Portugal and Europe compared to living back in South Africa, where you've
I think the biggest difference is in Durban it's obviously a lot warmer. In Portugal we have much more consistent downwinds. It's easy for me. In Durban it's like you've got in the Sydney beaches, you can't get out if it's big surf. So where in Portugal I've got an opportunity to get out through the big surf, through harbours, and I come in through harbours, so I can do 80, 90, 100 kilometre paddles without putting myself at risk getting in and out. The only difference is that I paddle with a full wetsuit all the time, because the water's about 16, 17 degrees, and I don't want to take any chances. I'm out there with a life jacket and a phone, and funny enough, on the last 3 paddles I never made them. 3 out of 3 I didn't make, and then eventually on the 4th one I finally made it to the end. So that can happen in Portugal, because it's cold and then it gets too hot and then there's no wind. But the bottom line is it's a good place. Durban's fantastic, but Portugal is really nice as well.
And we've made some pretty big announcements tonight about the Australian Ocean Racing Series and the money on the events this year and the exposure the events are going to get. Are we going to see you out in Australia this summer?
Oh no, absolutely. I think I'm going to spend at least 1.5 or 2 months going around the whole of Australia, sort of imparting my knowledge and trying to grow the sport. That's the whole thing I've been trying to do around the whole world, not just Australia. And the more you get out there and teach the people to enjoy it, so that when they start the right way, they enjoy it more. So then they never leave the sport. And I think that's what happens. And I'll be spending a lot of time with Sean partners and going to far-reaching places like Townsville and Cairns and things like that, where there's a lot of opportunity in these places, fantastic places to paddle, but the people just don't do it and they don't know how and they don't know how to get involved. So hopefully, and I'm very excited. It's good for the sport. What you're doing for the sport, and it always takes certain individuals to make it happen, and you making it happen, and around the world that's what we need. The bottom line is we know it's one of the best sports in the world, and it's just... And I've been seeing a really big surge in USA, which is good, and in Europe and all these countries, because the bottom line is sanity prevails. A good sport, a sport that anybody can do and everybody can do, is always going to outlast all the sports that come and go, and we've seen them in many other sports.
Correct, yeah. Well, thanks, Oscar. We wish you all the best on the weekend.
And Dean Gardner also for the top 5. You never know, eh?
Well, that's a big long shot.
You never know.
So I'm here with Cory Hill, one-time winner of the Molokai to Oahu Surf Ski Challenge. Cory, what's your thoughts about the conditions for the weekend?
I've been travelling with you the last couple of days, so I'm getting all the tips off the nine-time winner here and learning the ins and outs. And to be honest, I'm feeling pretty good, so hopefully it's a good day on Sunday.
So a couple of years ago, you had an unfortunate incident with Oahu. Can you tell us about that?
Like the way you say Oahu, like I've hit this huge rock in the ocean. From what I hear from yourself, I've had a pretty decent lead and ended up coming around the corner there at China Wall and came a cropper on the rocks. So I'll be going a little bit wider this year, and hopefully you won't be on the boat saying keep going right. I think it was meant to be left, wasn't it?
So the forecast for the weekend looks like one of the best ever. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, I think in the back of everyone's mind as well, they all look at the record you hold and they sort of go, it's been 20 years. I guess it goes to show how impressive yourself and Oscar and all those good paddlers have been for that long, and to continue to win over this period. So not only is the win on everyone's mind, but also the record. They want to knock you off your perch, but at the same time, you also look at it and go, that's how impressive you guys were and still are. You're all still right up there. So I guess it's just a benchmark, and hopefully we'll come in within 5 minutes of it.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Behind us here, we have a big picture of you, and you're part of the Shaw and Partners Ocean Racing team. Awesome lineup there. What's your thoughts on the whole series that's going to be happening in Australia this year? The big injection from Shaw and Partners on the financial side, and the exposure that we should be getting for the sport due to that.
Look, it's such a great thing, I think. It's such a great sport. It's something I'm really passionate about. It's something you're really passionate about. You've been doing the Ocean Racing Series now for numerous years, so long. Like we go back to, I think you were saying today, we're in the car with people born in '94, and you were saying, I won my 15th Molokai by that year, sort of thing. So you look at it and you go, you've been passionate for so long, and it's so great to have people like Shaw and Partners and Earl Evans to jump on board and share that passion and put in some financial injection, like you said. And look, you could be racing for $2 and I'd still be rocking up because I love the sport so much. But I've also been lucky enough, as you say, Shaw and Partners team, to call a lot of my biggest sponsors good mates, and to be here with a lot of my mates and sponsors and hopefully share this win on the weekend and share it throughout the Australian Ocean Racing Series would be such an honour. So bring it on, I guess, 2018-19.
One more question. Are you going to give us a top 5?
Oh, top 5. Here we go. Hopefully I'm in there. And then I want to say Macca, because I've been training with him, and hopefully the yards that we've been doing pays off. I want to see it work out for himself too. Hank's probably the hardest person I've ever raced against in my life. We've had a bit of a rivalry over the last couple of years, sharing first and second. Jasper's always biting at your heels. If not, he's pushing out the front. So he's been really strong, and last year he showed a really dominant 40 kilometres. It was just unfortunate, I guess, in that last 10 that Hank and myself came over the top of him. And for a number 5, I'll go Austin, just because last year in the Doctor he showed a lot of talent. It was really impressive, and I think the kilometres he's been doing, the stuff he's been posting, it sort of does show that he's got a dominant future in front of him. And I think also that underdog sort of spirit and coming across with a nation behind you, it must be pretty favourable. He's an American in America, in Hawaii, so that's my top 5.
Wow, that's the top 5, leaving out the local boy Pat Dolan, leaving out Clint Robinson, leaving out Oscar Chalupsky, who just told us he was going to win it. You're leaving out a lot of people, so there's a lot of depth here this year, isn't there?
Huge, absolutely huge. The first year I came across, actually, me and Pat had a bit of a duel into China Wall, and he ended up catching this 8-foot bombie, and I thought, oh no, the local boy knows exactly what he's doing here. And he came down this wave, and fortunate for myself and really unfortunate for himself, I came across the line, and then probably 2 minutes later saw his ski come across in about 50 different pieces. So look, you can't rule them out at all, and I'm sure that they're going to be hungry and right there. And like you said, these people that you're leaving out of your top 5, you only gave me a number, making me feel like a bit of a prick. But look, I've left yourself out, and you've won it 9 times as well. So
I can't believe you left me out. No, Cory, thank you very much. We wish you all the best on the weekend. Okay, I'm here with Hayley Nixon, winner of the Australian Ocean Racing Series last year, winner of the ICF World Surf Ski Championship last year. Hayley, you've seen the conditions, the forecast for the conditions. What's your thoughts?
It's actually quite ironic because I wasn't planning necessarily in the beginning of the year of coming to this event, and I've always had this running joke, like the year I go to Molokai it'll probably be big and windy, and that stems from me traditionally kind of being good at flat water races, and I thought everyone's always said, oh, Molokai's flat, you'd love it, it's always flat, and I had this feeling like, watch the year I go, it'll be windy, and I'm actually ecstatic because we've done a lot of flat races in the last few years, I'll be the first to admit that, and 52 k's is a hell of a long way to paddle if it is flat, so I'm really excited. It looks like great conditions. It doesn't look too scary, it doesn't look out of hand or out of control, and I certainly think we're going to need the help crossing the channel with a little bit of wind behind us, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so all the boys that I've spoken to prior to you have all said that it's a record-breaking year.
Yeah.
The girls' record is there, ready to break. Do you think it's possible this year?
Look, I'm sure it's possible. Whether it'll be me or one of the other women, who knows? We'll find out on the day. I think a lot of other girls like Rachel have done this before, so they know what it takes. They'll have some more local knowledge than I would have. And surely if you combine really good fitness and ocean skill and the fact that there's been no wind for the last 8 years, surely it can be broken. I'm certainly up for the challenge, but by no way sort of complacent. Like, I'm the kind of least experienced going into this, but yeah, I'm excited, and I would like to think that one of the women are going to break it this year. Surely, we have to, and we're all up for the challenge.
Well, that's good. And also the big announcements tonight about the Australian Ocean Racing Series, and you're the current champion of that. Is fantastic. Equal prize money for girls and boys, so that's a first, which is fantastic. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, I think two things there. I mean, one, the fact that they're basically trying to make the sport more professional. There's just so many factors. I promise you, I actually almost got a tear, because to hear a massive corporate like Shaw and Partners giving credit to surf ski paddling and recognising and respecting the athletes by rewarding prize money is huge for us. Most of us do it for the love, not for the money, and so that's a massive compliment to all of us. And obviously, it's a driving factor. It makes me already think I need to rethink working, because this is something to work for, not my day job. And secondly, obviously, equal prize money is massive, Dean. It's hard to be a woman in sport, and it's difficult, and I often feel like I'm on my soapbox trying to burn my bra about equal prize money. But so for this company to step forward and say we're drawing a line in the sand and we recognise, equality is amazing, and I'm really excited, and I'll see you guys in Australia for sure. I was there last year. Why wouldn't I be back? Well,
that was my last question.
Thank you.
So we do hope that we will see you down for the summer.
As long as lightning doesn't strike me between now and then, I'll be back in November, December.
Awesome news. It'll be great to have you back.
Awesome.
Thanks, Harley.
Thanks, Dean. Good luck.
I'm here with Jasper Maki, all the way from South Africa. Jasper, you're one of the greats that haven't won this race yet. You and your brother. I put Pat Dolan in that category, I put Nalu Kukaya in that category, and I put Marshall Rosa in that category. Do you think you can knock it off?
Well, thanks for being called a great, Dean. That's certainly a great privilege. But feeling good condition for the race. I think it's great that it's a nice deep field here this year. Feeling good condition. So perhaps this is the year.
Forecast looks amazing.
Certainly the best forecast that I've had here. I mean, it's my fourth time, so it's not haven't done too many, but I think I've definitely done enough now to know that it's going to be a good year.
Yep. And what's been happening at home? What have you been racing at back in South Africa?
Interesting time now at home. It's fairly quiet actually the first half of the year. We've had a new race this year around Robben Island, so that was at the end of April, so that was a nice build up. Not too long, it was only about 28 to 29 k's, so I was building up to that. But I think the first half of the year is always nice for me because you can kind of do a lot of different activities and just stay fit, and then maybe from middle March, April, start focusing on the paddling. But I've had a fairly relaxed approach, not too intense, but definitely been putting in enough miles. And
you got another baby on the way?
Yeah, so come mid-July we'll have number 2. So that's guys like yourself will tell me that it's a game changer. So I thought that was probably a good time for me to maximise as much as I could.
Oh, good stuff. And you heard all the announcements tonight. Big money on offer in Australia this summer. Do we expect to see you guys out in Australia this summer?
Yeah, certainly. I think it's been knocking on the door for a while. I think a lot of things have been put in place, and it's just fantastic that Shaw and Partners has come on board to just kind of put the final nail in the coffin. Guys like yourself, race promoters across the world have been putting in a lot of effort for a lot of time. and I think it's just fantastic. So yeah, we'll definitely be there, and I hope to see the Australian Ocean Series go from strength to strength.
And one last question, give us your top 5 for the weekend.
Top 5 in no particular order. I would say the guys that I've been looking at is myself, Hank, Cory, Pat, and McKenzie.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Cheers, mate. Okay, I'm here with Jordy Mercer, 6-time winner of the Molokai to Oahu paddleboard race and her first crack at the surf ski race. Jordy, what's your thoughts about the forecast for the weekend?
The forecast looks incredible, and especially you hear, I guess, leading into the race, it's all the excitement about looking what the channel's going to throw up, what the channel may offer. I think it's promising to know that the wind is going to be there for us, but as you know all too well, it can be 4 seasons in one day out there. It's a long channel, 55 kilometres, and so much changes as you cross the channel conditions-wise, and I think you just have to be prepared for the worst, which I've tried to do with my training, and of course, hope for the best.
And it's kind of difficult coming off a sprint life-saving season to try and get the mileage up, over a sort of a 6-week period. So how have you found that?
It has been pretty challenging, and I think, as you mentioned, coming off a Surf Ironwoman series where it is all that sprint work and having that month and a half in between to now be prepared to, instead of racing for 15 minutes, race for 4 to 5 hours. So I really hope that my past experiences crossing this channel will hopefully come to help me on race day, but I think more than anything it is just about being in a great headspace and knowing that I have done the work that I need to, and preparation may not have been perfect, but if there's anything I've come to realise, it's that having a heart and being strong mentally really goes a long way in this Molokai crossing.
Yeah, sure. And you've heard the announcements tonight about the big money on offer for ocean racing in Australia. What's your thoughts on that? Are we going to see you at some of the events this year?
I think for sure. I mean, I was to try and do the double, the Molokai surf ski and the Molokai board, and try and be the first person to try and win both was my goal. And hearing about these ocean ski races and knowing how much I'm enjoying this different perspective of sitting up and looking at the ocean as opposed to being down low and laying down, I'm loving it. So any opportunity, I think, to hang out on these surf skis and to chase some of these races is something that I'm really wanting to, I guess, dedicate my focus towards coming into the new season. There's some exciting news, some bucket list races which I'd love to do on the surf ski, so for sure I'm excited to be a part of it all.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, it'll be great to see you at some of the events, and good luck for this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. I'm here with Austin Kieffer, all the way from mainland USA. For those that don't know Austin is it was a third in the Doctor this year, or last year, and is rated as the dark horse for this year's event here on Oahu. So Austin, what's your thoughts about the forecast for the weekend?
Oh man, I could not be happier. It's my first time ever doing the race, and there's a lot of nerves involved with all the build-up, and everyone's got a story about how grueling and blowing before the finish, but I think with the forecast the way it is, I couldn't be happier, and with the caliber of athletes that are already lined up on the start list, it's going to be an unreal race, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
So a few weeks ago you actually paddled the course itself. Was there anything that you did on that day that you found daunting, or something to worry about, or something that you're going to think about going into the race?
Absolutely. So I did I crossed the Channel of Bones twice about a month ago.
Yep. And
each time I made terrible mistakes, like lining up with Makapu instead of China Wall, and going too hard in the start, and just kind of mismanaging the way that I was riding the runs. And I think each time I learned it, but I think the big things that I really took away from it were, obviously, like you said in the dinner tonight, is start out in a pace that you feel comfortable with, because it's a long way and there's going to be a time where you can push. And I think the other thing was kind of trust the local knowledge and trust the people who have done it a lot. There are going to be people out there in front of me who are more experienced, and I hopefully I'll kind of play off what they're doing.
So just give us a quick little rundown on what got you into ocean paddling. Where'd you come from?
That's a great question. So I actually started surf skiing for the first time in 2012, and before that I had been a whitewater paddler, slalom whitewater, and did that for about a decade and had a dream of going to the Olympics, and it didn't quite work out, and I was looking actually just to pick up some kind of form of kayaking to stay fit, and a friend of mine was a Fen rep, or one of Ocean Paddle Sports Fen dealers, and he was like, you know what, there's this little race that we do in San Francisco. You should come up for 2 weeks. I'll teach you how to use a wing paddle, and we should do the U.S. Surf Ski Champs. And so I paddled for 2 weeks with him in the flat, and I was already hooked. And then I went to San Francisco for the first time and did my first downwind, and I was like, done. This is it. So 2012 on, I was hooked. It's incredible.
So I don't want this to sound rude, but last year you came out of nowhere, right, for a Dias position in the Doctor race, and that was big conditions. So we're going to see similar conditions this week. So do you think you can reach that Dias again this weekend?
That's definitely my hope. I mean, no offense taken. It was a strong field of the Doctor, and and I'm up and coming and still trying to prove myself. So I think I'm definitely going to throw down and give everything I have, and very much in these conditions looking to at least make the boys work for it if they're going to beat me for the podium.
Fair enough. Well, all the best this weekend, mate, and I hope to see you on the podium.
Thank you so much, Dean.
Cheers,
Pleasure.
Mate. So we're here with McKenzie Heiner. This is his first crack at the Molokai to Oahu surf ski race. Macca, what's your thoughts about the forecast for the weekend?
I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be pretty cool. This is our 7th year, I think, that it's been flat, and this will be the first year that there's been a little bit of wind. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think the competition is one of the best that's lined up. I'm just ecstatic to be a part of the crew that's here. I think finishing, it's going to be a milestone for me. Top 5, a great result. If I get top 3, I will be over the moon, and that might be it for me. I might not do any better. So, yeah, no, it's going to be a great event. I can't wait. It's going to be quite spectacular.
So you finished 4th in the Doctor last year?
I did, yes.
In big conditions, and I was just talking to Austin, who finished 3rd in the Doctor last year.
Yeah, he
came out
past
of nowhere.
me. Yeah.
Yep. So what's your thoughts? Like, it should be very similar conditions to the Doctor. The wind will be over the right shoulder, the chop's going to be big, there should be some decent swell out there. Would you think it'll be similar to the Doctor based on the forecast you've seen?
But definitely. I mean, I've only paddled here for a short time. I can't say too much about what mid-channel is going to be like, the Channel of Bones, but I think it is going to be similar. Cory Hill and I have been training together for some time now, and we've done a lot of similar sort of paddles going down the south coast of Queensland on the Gold Coast. I think he's been a good benchmark for me. I've been trying to match it with him, and if I can do that, I think time will tell, but I think the result may come as well.
And some pretty exciting announcements tonight with regards to Australian ocean racing.
Yeah, definitely.
And global ocean racing too. What's your thoughts on that? Are you going to be around this summer to be able to take on some of those events?
Yeah, count me in. I'll be at all of them. There's no doubt about it. I'm part of the Shore and Partners race team, so I'm sure Earl will make sure I'm at them as well. But yeah, apart from that, I think what he's doing for the sport is exceptional. I think it gives everyone an added opportunity to go to these races, and I think it boosts the exposure of the sport and even the morale between all the paddlers. We're at a very special dinner tonight. I think there might be many more like this to come.
Yeah, what a fantastic evening.
Yeah,
and those announcements, and I just noticed that this is you right here, right?
Yeah. A little short guy there. Oh, not as short as this guy, but...
Macca is part of the Shore and Partners Ocean Racing team, and along with Cory and a few others. So it's fantastic to have him in the event this year. Can you give us a top 5?
Oh, geez, you put him on the spot. I'm going to say Cory Hill for the win. I've done some miles with him. He's just his mindset is phenomenal. My bad sessions are woeful. I'm always out the back door. His bad sessions, he's keeping up with me. So I think he's going to be the one. I think Hank will rival him, though. They're on the same ski. There's nothing separating them now. I think Jasper's going to be there as well. There's too many people. You're racing, so you could be in there. There's Pat Dolan, Oscar, all these guys that have done so many of them. They have so much more experience than I do. So I think in that respect, I'll sort of be following their line in parts, probably for the first half, and then sort of trying to make a plan from there. But Yeah, and I think Austin, who was just on before me, I think he's going to be a real hot contender.
Yeah.
It's his first time as well, so we're in the same boat. But yeah, it's going to be quite special.
So what's the one thing, and I'm not going to say fear, but what's the one thing that's on your mind about this event?
China Wall. Cory Hill, who I trained with, has run into it. He lost a race from it. Everyone's been talking about how dodgy and sketchy it is, and everyone says it's at the last, 2 kilometres of the 52 kilometre race. Sean Rice sent me the other day a message, mate, you're going to have tunnel vision by the end, make sure you practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't been there yet, but I'm hoping to go there and try to figure out the line, make sure I don't stuff it up, because that'll be one way to butcher it near the end.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, good luck on the weekend.
Thanks, Dino.
Hope it goes well.
Yeah, likewise.
Cheers, mate. Okay, I'm here with the Eckstein Boys, Kane and Shannon. This is their first crossing of this event. What's your thoughts, boys?
Really looking forward to it, Dean. Not really something I've sort of done before, anything like I've done before. So the wind looks pretty good and I enjoy the run. So we're doing it in a team of 3. So, be on the water for about 16k each, so you can really give it a good go.
Yeah, for me, I'm going first. So I sort of wanted to do that coming off the season of, racing short course stuff. Get off to a good start. Hopefully the fellas don't start off too quick, the individual guys, and I can sort of be out the front. And then, I know Shannon's probably going to be going as fast as anyone's going to go in the middle of the channel. And then Jeremy should finish it off pretty nicely, having done the race before. So, I'll just get it to a good start and see how we go.
So I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure no team has ever beaten the individuals. Have you heard that, or is that something you guys have heard?
Yeah, Jeremy's told me that probably 10 times in the last 7 days. So I think he wants to beat the individuals. He gets
Hence
pretty,
he's going last.
Yeah.
He gets pretty pedantic about any sort of racing. So, he's told me that, and we'll see how we go. But obviously, we've got a big advantage. And then me and Shannon have got the same leg length in the ski, so we won't do any changes like that. Jeremy's a little bit taller, so I don't think it'll slow us down too much. We should go pretty well.
And you've seen the forecast for the weekend. Looks pretty, well, from what I'm seeing, it looks phenomenal. So what's your thoughts on that?
Mate, I enjoy downwinders like anyone else, so it looks pretty good. But I'd really love just to sit in the boat and watch these top guys go at it. It will be a good race up the front there, watching them come down them bombs. So
yeah, being in the boat, I guess it gives you the chance to have a good look at the race as well. You've heard the big announcements tonight about the Ocean Racing Series in Australia. I know you guys focus as Ironman racing. What's your thoughts? Are we going to see you in some of the ocean races this year?
Yeah, well, it sort of changed your focus a little bit by seeing that. It's pretty good prize money. A little bit, it sort of takes over from, the summer racing. And as you said, it sort of picks up surf ski racing. When people see that sort of prize money, all the guys are going to do it. And especially they got, $5,000 for sprint guys at Sorrento Beach. So you even get, the guys that are thinking about coming over for an endurance race, they'll say, I'll definitely come over because I can do a sprint race and maybe get $5,000. So, it's only going to be up and up from there. You've got 2 races now. Next year's probably going to have 5 or so, and then we'll see how we go after that. It's pretty good.
It's fantastic news. Well, all the best for the weekend.
Cheers.
We'll see you out in the water.
Thanks,
yeah, no worries. Cheers.
So I'm here with Earl Evans, major sponsor of the Australian Ocean Racing Series, and also, I believe, you sponsor this event as well.
Yeah, really cool. Actual fact, a lot of fun. It's been very, very great to be involved the last 2 or 3 years. Been good to deal with yourself, obviously, and I think the recent announcement of the extension of our sponsorship for another 2 years gives good certainty for the paddlers and for the event itself, and to take it on to bigger and better things.
So, Earl, I get a lot of people coming up to me saying, I want to sponsor your event, right? And I remember we were on the beach at Kaluakoi over on Molokai, and I saw you walk up to me and you said, I want to sponsor your event. And I went, oh yeah, here's another clown that wants to sponsor the events. And you've come through with the goods, and this summer in Australia we're going to see, well, the biggest ocean racing series we've ever had, and due to Shaw and Partners' support. What is it for you guys that really makes you want to get involved in this sort of stuff?
It's probably 2 things. I mean, our business follows what its staff are passionate about. So we sponsor many different sporting events. We're big on the philanthropy side of things. So this was driven by myself, and I started 3 years ago paddling, and to be frank with you, fell in love with the sport, the beauty of it, the nature of it, the serenity of it, the health side of it, being out in the harbour. Sydney Harbour is just spectacular, and then thinking of all the paddlers in their own locations around the world where they're passionate about their location. And I thought, what a gift, I'm sitting in the middle of Sydney Harbour, and had it not been for paddling, I wouldn't be doing that. So I sort of firstly fell in love with it, then started to get to know a few of the paddlers like yourself and Cory and Jasper and just a few of them, and getting to understand the psyche and just how hard they train. And I remember seeing Cory paddling and the intent of every stroke, riding over these bumps, and me sitting there thinking, how does he do that? And just the hours and hours of training. So sort of two fronts, sort of fell in love with it, and then sort of looked at it. It's great for our staff. A lot of our staff follow it. It's a healthy sport. It's putting back into the community. It's healthy for the children. It's healthy for the older guys like me, you. And so we just thought it was a great thing to do, and it's been fantastic. It's in our backyard, so it's been fabulous to be involved for the first 2 years, and we're really looking forward to the next 2 years. We just think we can step it up a little bit, and it's a growing sport. We have some of the most wonderful waterways in the world in Australia, so for us, we sort of see it as a privilege.
Fantastic, and you've done this race a couple of times yourself now.
Yep.
What's the one thing that's on your mind going into this race?
Well, the first time I did it in a double, the whole 52 Ks, I've got the benefit of a partner and we're doing it in the relay, so 26, 27 kilometres each. That's still an awfully long way, and especially for a guy like me that tries to, does a fair bit of work, but obviously in between that a bit of training. Just not go too fast, too quick, pace yourself. You want to go out of a sprint and be the best you can. But I think just pace yourself. So a little bit nervous. It's going to be this. The last 2 years has been flat. This has got some serious swell in the middle of that channel. That channel of bones might just come out to actually haunt a few people, I think, including me on the weekend. So I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit nervous about it.
And there's a big Shore and Partners presence here of people in your business.
Yes.
Is there an in-house competition going on here? Are we going to see, like a special award to the best Shore and Partner performer?
Well, it's sort of the unspoken thing. I think we're all trying not to say who we think's going to get up, but we're all doing it in teams. There's a couple of the guys doing it. Let me rephrase that. A number of us are doing it in teams. There's a couple doing solo, but there's a bit of ribbing. We're all a bit nervous of each other, so we're trying to just because we know we're going to cop a pasting. Whoever sticks their head up, But there could be a bit of a prize for the winner, I think.
Yeah.
So let's hope Horder and I get up.
Yeah, well, that will be a good battle. There are some fairly solid
really
teams.
good.
Yeah. You've got Peter Foster, former Olympian. So tonight, what's your thoughts? Awesome evening.
Fantastic, and I think it's really good to to launch the Perth Doctor, which is an iconic event. The Dash for Cash, and part of that program, I think 2 weeks later, then doing the 20 beaches, be an amazing event. So it's sort of East Coast, West Coast scenario, and I think it just makes for 2 weeks of arguably the world's best paddling. There'll be clinics in between around the country by world's best paddlers. So in terms of the paddling scene, great to introduce people into the sport, fantastic for the people who are already in the sport, and for the spectators, you come down and watch the races and the finishes and the starts. Sensational, lots of prize money on offer, some serious prize money, really, really exciting. So it's a good build-up and a great reason to train hard, especially for the pros going into November, December. And I think for all the sort of plotters like myself, just great to set yourself a target, paddle hard, get fit, train, and be part of that sort of couple of weeks of paddling. It'll be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we're talking to most of the competitors, the South Africans and the guys from America. They're all keen to come out, so it should be a fantastic summer.
Well, my business partner is South African, so he's already talking about this South African-Australian contingent, so we might get you to fly the flag for the Aussies, and we'll get someone to fly the flag for the South Africans, but he's already started. I think my boys are going to win. I said, what do you mean my boys? Oh, the South African boys. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it's been going on for a long time, so let's hope it continues. It's awesome.
Great. Thanks for your support, Dean. Thank you.
Cheers.